Hello, hello, hello. This is going to be a small guide for how to precast as a chrono in Fractals. Alright, to start out, I don't have, unlike DPS classes, as a chrono, as a heal chrono, you're already running 100% boon duration, so you don't need a precast template to begin with at all. Just use your standard heal chrono set. Usually these days I tend to run just full Harrier with Mesmer runes. Full Harriers basically, maybe a minstrel back piece or whatever, doesn't matter too much. You have your Astral Ward Relic for resistance uptime, you can switch whatever according to your needs, yada yada. I like defaulting to Astral Ward. And then your weapons, again Harrier, and I highly recommend I highly recommend having an absorption sigil and a paralyzation sigil, because as a chrono, your main job there is to heal, to get boons, and to CC. Healing not as important if you're getting into good groups, but definitely boon uptime and defiance damage, your CC skills. And you can see the traits here. Am I on my heal chrono set? Yes, okay. So you can see this is the standard trait setup. You can switch to a lack or quickness depending on what you need. So to start things out, as soon as we're running into the mistlock, or when everyone's stacked on mistlock because they're ready, what you're gonna do, actually before then, go ahead and charge your mantras, right? You don't want to be charging your mantras on stack, because most people will assume, well, once they look at the chrono or the support coming over here, that means they're ready to boon, and then they start pre-casting stuff, pre-booning, while you're stuck here charging your mantras. You don't want to do that. So charge them away from the group, that if they have eyeballs, they can see that you are not with them, and they don't start until you start. One thing I like to do is, as I'm charging my stab mantra, near the end of it, I start running towards my teammates so that they get the stability and aegis from the final charge, or whatever it's worth. It doesn't matter too much, honestly, because the time it takes to finish your precast, those boons will probably most likely go away anyway. Don't worry too much about that, it doesn't matter. But it saves some time. A little bit more optimal in that situation, but it doesn't really matter too much. Cool. So once you go in, let's say your whole group is here, once you're here, go ahead and it is optional too if you like manually swapping between elite skills, but I always like to drop a time warp so that people have instant quickness, because the rotation that I'm about to do for precasting involves gathering during continuous split, and I start using my continuous split a little bit, like a second or two into my pre-booting rotation. So I always like to just give a time warp instantly so people have quickness to do whatever they need to do. So quickness, right, and then I'll just do the rotation real quick that I do. Alright, that was a lot, right? So let me just break it down a bit more slowly. So charge mantras. I could run in with my star mantra right here, boom. Okay. Then I time warp. And now my main goal is to cast my continuum split mid SOI. That way, that when continuum split ends, SOI actually gets refreshed, because I technically used it within continuum split. One thing I do want to say as well too, if you're quick with your fingers, you can actually SOI mid singularity shot and then SOI. That way you'll have Singularity 5 available too. So for example, right here, 3, 5. I should have done that way more slower. You guys can probably just kind of reduce the video speed as well. This one's kind of finicky too, because I cast my continuing split right at the very end of rifle 5 and then SOI in the middle. But I do it super quick such that when I am in my continuing split, I'm able to cast all my F skills, my SOI, my stat mantra. That's the main goal. So let's try again, right? Okay, I'm gonna time warp. Rifle 3, Rifle 5, CS. Oh, you can tell I missed so much over here. So many shatters, but it doesn't matter too much. Okay. Time warp, Rifle 3, Rifle 5, CS, SOI, Stat Mantra. And another Rifle 5 at the end to top it off. In sequence, I'll do it again, way more slower this time. Time warp. Rifle 3. Rifle 5, and then CS at the very end, and follow with an SOI. But during the SOI, during the cast of SOI, I fit in as many shatters as I can in a charge of Stat Mantra. It's super tight, and this is why I think Chrono is one of the highest APM classes that you can play and has such a high skill ceiling. Because you want, most of your kit is instant cast, and you want to use those instant casts in a really short time frame while casting other skills. Time warp. Rifle 3, Rifle 5, CS, SOI, cast Shatter, Stab, SOI again. During the CS, again, you want to fit your Rifle 5, SOI, F1, F2, F3, F4, and a charge of Stat Mantra. That's your main goal. Once the SOI ends, you do the same thing. SOI, Shatter, 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 Stat Mantra. And then at the very end of that sequence, your Rifle 5 should be up, and then you can take the Singularity again. Feel free to slow this part down as well, whatever you need. And then you're done. And then you go in and start the fight. So let's try again, running in with Stat Mantra, Time Warp, the Rifle skills. Rifle 5 comes up, boom, big Singularity, go, you're done. For other recasts, there's not really much you need. You don't need to do Well of Action. You don't need this. It takes too long. Cast. The cast time is just tremendously long. You don't need to precast Well of Precast. You don't need to do anything else. You really don't. You already have your hands full as it is, trying to fit everything in a 0 clone continuum split. You don't need Shield 5. You don't need to start out the group with this. It's not necessary. It gives might, sure, but if you're already pre-booting, if you're already pre-booting, chances are most people are as well, and they have some pre-bootings they give might as well. Let's see how much might I can generate myself in a second. Like if you have scrappers in your party or engineers, basically, they're precast, they're pre-booting, and if they're doing a proper pre-boot, they're blasting might galore. Okay, I don't have my Singularity. Okay. Purge Mantras. Running while Mantras done. Time Warp. I missed the Rifle 5 there. It's not the end of the world. But right there, 22 stacks of might. At that point, someone else can provide that. Those 3 stacks of might needed to cap. Or you can, like, when you start the fight, I always just put a Rifle 3 in the beginning, and then once the actual fight starts, you'll get capped off on might. If you're the only one pre-booting at that point also, it's just unfortunate. You know, you did your best. You tried. Don't feel the need to use Well of Action or Rifle 5. I would highly recommend just not using these to begin with, and just doing what I do, simply for the fact that in higher level speed groups that once you have a taste of how well they clear, you don't want to go back, right? In those kinds of groups, you don't have time to wait for everyone to wait for the Well of Action final final pulse to trigger so that you can get the Fury and Might from it, or the Rifle 5. I mean, you could Rifle 5 going into the boss, right? Going into the group, but at that point, me personally, I'm finishing charging my mantra, and I'd rather just get Time Warp up real quick and start my rotation rather than charge my mantra, finish charging, put a Rifle 5, and then go Time Warp. Again, all these optimizations are just saving you like seconds, half a second or whatever, but at the end of the day, you decide what you want to do as a precast, but I would highly recommend just sticking to what I've done so far. It's one of the fastest precasts that I kind of like. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is once you're done precasting with the Time Warp, once you grab your Singularity, take it and then manually switch to your Moa or whatever other util you'll need. You don't want Time Warp asterisk all the time on your elite skill, because you're gonna want to CC a lot in fractals and you want that Moa. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but in that precast I actually missed a Rifle F5 at the end, but doesn't matter too much, honestly. I missed a shatter there, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna diddle daddle my way and like, oh guys, 1 second, oh I forgot to Rifle 5, or I forgot to press my F2 skill. Please wait, please wait. If you can only get 3 or 2 during a CS and after CS, it's fine. The important part is just getting the speed up and not having like 2 seconds worth of whatever boon you're giving going into the fight. Alright, last one. Then boom, start fight. Okay, yeah, that's it for the Chrono precast. For Troubadour, when I play Troubadour, I actually don't precast at all because I only play Troubadour in Sunqua. And that one you can't pre-win at all, so there's not really a point of me showing how to precast as a Troubadour. Since you have no CS and no yeah, since you don't have CS, it's not gonna be that complicated on Troubadour. Just do whatever rifle skills you have, and then like your shatters, I guess. Also, you really don't, yeah, this one gives prod, I think. Yeah, whatever. Okay. That's it. Goodbye.